Welcome back to Animal Notebook, everyone. Today, we've got an absolutely wild explanator lined up for you. We're diving deep into our topic, Komodo dragon, king of reptilian realms. If you've ever wondered what it literally takes to rule an island ecosystem, well, you are in exactly the right place. So let's jump right in and explore what makes the Komodo dragon the ultimate reptilian apex predator. Seriously, this isn't just some oversized lizard we're talking about. It's a perfectly evolved survivor. It's basically a living dinosaur that commands absolute respect in its habitat. Today, we're unpacking the science, busting some big myths, and just marveling at the sheer biological wonder of this beast. Here's what's on the agenda today. 1. Meet the dragon. 2. Anatomy of an apex predator. 3. The deadly venomous bite. 4. Life cycle and unique reproduction. 5. Protecting the king. And 6. Komodo dragon FAQs. All right, section 1. Meet the dragon, the world's largest lizard. To really understand this creature, we first have to look at where it lives. They're confined to just a tiny handful of remote Indonesian islands, places like Komodo, Rinca, and Flores. And this extreme isolation, it actually allowed them to become absolute giants. I mean, adult males can reach up to a staggering 3 meters. That's 10 feet long. To put that into perspective, you're talking about a lizard roughly the length of a small car, making them the largest living species of lizard on Earth. No contest. And they are incredibly heavy too. These solitary giants can weigh over 90 kilograms in the wild. Because they're cold-blooded ectotherms, they dominate their dry savanna and tropical forest homes, usually spending their mornings just basking in the sun to warm up before a hunt. As top-tier carnivores, their menu includes deer, wild boar, and get this, even water buffalo. If they manage to survive the super treacherous early years of their life, they can easily live for over 30 years. Moving on to Section 2, Anatomy of an Apex Predator, built for the kill. Because let's be real, you don't take down a water buffalo by accident. Think about their skin for a second. It's essentially chainmail. It's covered in these reinforced armor-like scales that actually contain tiny real bones called osteoderms. Plus, they're packing a heavily muscled tail that they use for balance and, yeah, as a physical weapon. But the most incredible tool in their arsenal, that signature forked tongue. By tasting the air and processing it with something called a Jacobson's organ, a Komodo dragon has a sense of smell so razor-sharp it can detect a rotting carcass from several kilometers away. It is mind-blowing. Next up, Section 3, the deadly venomous bite, myth versus reality. So how exactly does a 90-kilo reptile take down massive prey that's way, way bigger than itself? Well, their hunting strategy is an absolute masterclass in calculated patience. First, they use their dull, grayish-brown coloring to perfectly blend into the dry brush, just waiting. Then, they launch an ambush with a sudden, powerful burst of speed, delivering a devastating bite with 60 serrated teeth. But here's the crazy part. Then they just back off. They don't rustle a giant buffalo to the ground. They literally just track it as it slowly weakens over the next few hours or even days. And this brings us to a massive paradigm shift in biology. For decades, science taught this myth that a Komodo had a ridiculously dirty, bacteria-filled mouth, and that's what caused a deadly infection in the prey. But the reality is actually much more sinister. Researchers recently discovered they possess highly potent venom glands. This venom triggers rapid shock, completely tanks the victim's blood pressure, and stops blood from clotting, meaning massive, unstoppable blood loss. So scratch that old dirty bite theory. This is a highly evolved venomous strike. Let's get into Section 4. Life cycle and unique reproduction, from tree dweller to cannibal. Now, you might think an apex predator this terrifying has it easy from day one, right? Wrong. Their journey from egg to adult is insanely dangerous. Mating happens between May and August, with females bearing about 15 to 30 eggs. But here's where things get straight up weird. Females can occasionally do this thing called parthenogenesis. That means they can literally produce male offspring without any fertilization from a male dragon at all. It's a spectacular survival mechanism. But once those babies hatch, life is rough. Why? Because adult Komodo dragons are highly opportunistic and, unfortunately for the babies, total cannibals. So to avoid being eaten by those very adults we just talked about, the hatchlings look and act completely differently. They are brightly colored in greens and yellows to camouflage, and they are phenomenal climbers. In fact, they are strictly arboreal in their youth, meaning they literally have to spend their early years hiding high up in the trees, snacking on insects and geckos, just waiting until they're big enough to safely walk the ground. Which brings us to Section 5, Protecting the King an endangered icon. Despite their absolute dominance on the ground, that terrifying venom, and their armor-plated skin, even kings need our protection. Their incredibly restricted island range makes them super vulnerable to outside forces. Sadly, the IUCN currently lists the Komodo dragon as an endangered species. They're up against a barrage of severe threats: habitat loss from human expansion, illegal poaching of the deer and pigs they rely on for food, and of course, the looming threat of climate change. Because they only live on a few specific islands, rising sea levels are quite literally shrinking their tiny world. That makes sanctuaries like Komodo National Park, which is a designated UNESCO World Heritage Site, absolutely vital for their ongoing survival. Finally, Section 6, Komodo Dragon FAQs. Your burning questions answered. We promise to test our newly acquired dragon knowledge, so let's hit 4 rapid-fire questions people always ask about these incredible animals. First up, given their massive bulk, remember, weighing up to 90 kilos, can they actually run fast when they need to, or are they just slow, lumbering scavengers? Surprisingly, yes, they are capable of these explosive, really short bursts of speed, hitting up to 20 kilometers per hour, which is about 12 miles per hour. They use this quick sprint to suddenly ambush prey out of the brush. But since they're cold-blooded, they lack endurance and tire out super quickly, which is honestly exactly why that venomous bite we talked about is so crucial. Next question. Considering they live out in an island archipelago surrounded by strong ocean currents, are they able to swim? The answer is a resounding yes. Despite those heavy, armor-plated bodies, they are incredibly strong swimmers. They actually frequently brave the ocean currents to hop between neighboring islands in their range. So you aren't just looking at a terrifying land predator. They are extremely capable in the water, too. All right, our third FAQ. We know they take down massive prey like water buffalo, but just how big is a Komodo dragon's appetite in a single sitting? Get ready for this number because it's wild. They are capable of consuming an astonishing 80% of their own body weight in just one meal. Because they have these highly expandable stomachs, they basically just gorge themselves when food is available, which lets them survive for super long stretches between major kills. Finally, our last question. Local Indonesian communities sometimes refer to them as wara ora, or land crocodiles. But biologically speaking, are they actually related to crocodiles? While that land crocodile nickname perfectly captures their whole terrifying vibe, they aren't crocodilians at all. They actually belong to the family Varanidae, making them the absolute largest living species of monitor lizard on the planet. And, that reality leaves us with one final, kind of sobering thought. If an animal this formidable, this highly evolved, and this perfectly adapted to its environment is clinging to survival on the endangered species list, what else in our natural world is quietly slipping away and desperately needs our urgent attention? Something to think about. Thanks for learning with us on Animal Notebook, and keep exploring,